All right, let's get back to our guest tonight. Our guest tonight is Rashmi Khilnani. Rashmi, thank you so much for taking time out of your day and being here with us.
Thank you so much, Pat, for having me on your incredible show. You're doing a fabulous job. It all sounds so fascinating.
Well, we've been doing it. We're coming up on 4 years. I do work a day job, and this is my second job. Of course, here it's in the wee hours of the morning, but we've got a great listening audience, people that are very open-minded about things. We get nothing but great emails and good reviews, and it's about being open-minded and talking about these things and not being afraid to talk about it. Mainstream media doesn't want to cover it, but we feel it's our calling, even though it can be tough to come in the studio when it's a snowstorm or get up for work early in the morning. We still feel that we need to be here and talk about these things and bring great guests like you on to talk about it and let people hear. They make up their own mind whether they believe or not, but at least you give them the opportunity to hear about it.
Absolutely incredible service. It's just so important that we, because it's through the information that we begin to refire these encodings within us of remembrance, remembering, who we already are, and there's so many facets to that.
Well, and you said something there. I think a lot of people forget who they are. They get entangled in other things. They get entangled in material things, and they forget that at the end of the day, they need to take a look at their spirituality a little bit more, and their essence or their spirit or their soul or whatever you want to call it, because when you're done with this lifetime, you move on, and this time has come and gone. And I think we have to sometimes get back to our roots and get back to what's more important.
And this time now is definitely the energies are pushing for that big time from within and without. Our souls are pushing for it. I am presence, The heart energy is just very important. Opening the heart and taking those little baby steps, and to not always thinking about everything, but to feel, how does that feel? How does that information feel? And to being even ready to open up to the possibility of a new pattern forming from that gut instinct of the feeling body, which opens up the heart. And this heart energy now is going to co-create incredible vistas of this golden age on this planet in the next cycle, which will go on beyond time and space, but even within time and space for, a long period.
Do you think, Rashmi, that the world is going to, you did mention about extraterrestrials and our evolution and our changes. Do you think that the world is going to see an event someday, and maybe hopefully in our lifetime as human beings? Do you think we're going to see some sort of event that is going to be so, I don't want to use the word cataclysmic or terrible or traumatic, but something that will let the people of this planet know there is sure more to life than going to work 9 to 5 and worried about our iPhones and our cell phones? Do you think we're going to see some sort of a sign that we're not alone on the planet, or we're not alone in the universe? Do you think that that's going to happen?
Yes, I feel disclosure is definitely around the corner. In fact, if you see this film, I don't know, you might have seen the film Disclosure. Did you see that?
No, I haven't. I follow, of course.
It was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing because they had, I think it was called Disclosure. I can't exactly remember, but I watched it at the spiritual cinema group in Charlottesville. And, they had people that were, astronomers, people that had been working in government, people from the military, pilots, various people, being interviewed on their experiences and how so much of the information is being suppressed and depressed by the powers that be. So, for some of us like myself, transcendentally we see so many different beings. And, are able to access past and future in those trance states. And science is just catching up with metaphysics. So, of course, these things, the time will come when the so-called dead will walk the earth. There is no such thing, and so the different dimensions will merge, and we will be able to levitate and go to other planets. Since I was little, I always knew that my name, Rashmi, in Sanskrit, it means moonlight and sunlight. And I always felt, since I was a little girl, playing around the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, that I used to talk to this goddess in the sky, a cow, from my balcony in Zamalek. And my mom said, I don't know, we were talking to some invisible cow in the sky. Well, that was the goddess Hathor. But I always felt that I would go to the moon, and I never felt I would go what do we got now? Rockets and things like that.
Right.
I just felt I would go, there would be no spacesuit or anything, And recently I watched this film, Gravity. You must see it with Sandra Bullock. And, what's his name? George Clooney. Fabulous film, because the whole thing is shot, in the sat in space, looking at planet Earth. And I mean, that was just such a peaceful experience. So in meditation, we go to so many different realms. And eventually, the technology is just showing us what we are without the technology. So, many of us are able to be telepathic and so on. We all know this. Sometimes you're thinking about somebody, and before you pick up the phone, there's a connection, or you bump into them or whatever. So, a lot of these beings are around us, and not all of them are in spaceships either, because in the higher frequencies, they don't need all that either. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a lot of the Indian gods and goddesses, they have these invisible spaceships or vimans and different things that from the past and our epics and the Vedas. It's all in there already. And if you look at the hieroglyphics in Egypt, there are some hieroglyphics that Drungal Melchizedek has shown, which exist, which literally show these little helicopters and things, and it's all about the war with Saddam Hussein and all of that, So I haven't physically seen that in Egypt, but he's done a lot of research around that. So I definitely feel that will happen. And, like for me, Babaji and all these other beings have appeared transcendentally in my studio in London, sometimes with eyes open. These things have sort of happened. And I felt the Pleiadian beings around me, but those more in a formless state of through my feeling body, which is where I sense much more deeply. And it's a blue light energy, and it's extremely benevolent. So just a little bit about that.
Are you talking about, with disclosure, were you talking about Stephen Greer's film Cirrus?
No.
Or
another one. There were so many, but this one, they were interviewing actual people from, police people and military people and government people and pilots, and that had physically seen spaceships, seen dead aliens and so on, and that were part of the system, but had come out as whistleblowers to tell their tales and why the information was being suppressed, to control us and so on. So we come back to the conspiracy stuff. I think it's all going to be very exciting. I mean, this missing plane, the Malaysian Airlines, I don't know what your take on that is, but I think for me, the feeling, I always ask for the higher plan in anything from the beings and my inner guidance and my higher wisdom. And on my, my higher I am presence is one with Babaji, the Ascended Masters, the angels. And, even the devil is within us, actually. So that's something to sort of, work on with meditation and breathing and taking those baby steps into chanting and overtone chanting. And through sound, we can access many, many states of being. But,
I don't, with the Malaysian...
The energy is so high, suddenly I've lost my trend of thinking completely. That happens.
No. What is your take on the Malaysian flight? Do you believe that it crashed?
Yeah, the Malaysian flight, that's what I was talking about. That's right. So I asked, what is this? And I was told that number one, it's stopping people from their ruts. You know, it's a great way to say, stop. This is not, you know, the reality. You know, got all this technology, where did this thing go? You know, and then the misinformation, which is quite amazing, because I've talked to so many people in the 3 continents I live in. You know, I'm just waiting outside to catch another flight somewhere, and I'm outside my hotel, and there's some Singapore Airlines crew, and I'm like, so what do you think? How do you feel about that plane? You know, you're just about, and they go, oh, they found it, didn't they? And of course they haven't, you know.
Right.
So, and some people are like this, that, and the other. My personal feeling is that the souls had agreed to be part of this. You know, it's what Seth talks about in the individual and the nature of collective reality. You know, Jane Roberts channeled that years ago. And, you know, it's about a certain number of souls agree to pass over in a huge collective event on a higher level, because we have the personality 7 and we have the higher self. And on soul level, the soul chooses different dramas, including so-called negative lifetimes, just for the experience, because as we understand in the Vedas, through meditation, the sages understood the soul can neither be born, nor waited, nor die, etc., which is also what Jesus really came to show us. And so, you know, that plane, there are many theories around it, and there was apparently some scientists on it that were part of various things, and God knows. But my feeling was that the plane has gone to a different dimension, and that energy is quite benevolent. Now, I wasn't quite sure whether it was Pleiadian or what, so it didn't need to have a name, but I just felt it was benevolent. How did you feel about it?
Well, you know, the conspiracy stuff, of course, Rashmi, comes up all the time, and I think that's that's the human side of us. You know, that it's you know, it's landed somewhere and it's going to be used for you know, it's going to carry a nuclear device.
Terrible things, yeah.
You know, and we're going to see another 9/11. I don't know. It is strange with our technology that they can find people very easily, and I don't know how you can't find an airliner of that size. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
If it's not in this dimension, then you won't find it, you see.
Right.
And my personal feeling wasn't one of tampering and negativity, though that could have happened on some level, because every story has many different levels. And you know, when you say what's going to happen in the world, well, there is no one world. There is no one world. Each being has their own world. So 3 people can be looking at the same accident and have 3 completely different experiences.
Right.
And, you know, for example, you know, my friend Tom Kenyon, who's very big with sound and the heartful beings on the planet, he was sort of talking about, he had this massive group in a seminar, and he was bringing in the energy and the sound of the whales for healing, and it's very powerful. So all these people were, you know, becoming whales, and they were in this 5th dimensional Sirius frequency of whale energy, which is our ocean. You know, this was through the cosmos. And this one woman had her experience, and later on she said, wasn't it wonderful that we were all mooing like cows, just like the goddess Hathor? So she'd done all this research, and because he channels the Hathor beings, she thought it was the goddess Hathor, is this cow goddess that I've channeled in my book, The Divine Mother Speaks, Healing Everything Without. So she didn't see the whole energy as the whales. She was making the sound of cows mooing, and as far as she was concerned, the whole hall was cows mooing. You see, so exactly the same experience, and 2 people were in 2 different worlds.
Interesting, very interesting.
So we are all in our own world, and so our world happens through our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and we literally co-create our reality through that. Now, the thing is that we'll say, but I didn't want to kill X, or I didn't want, you know, poverty to happen in my life, right?
Right.
So one of the things is that the soul comes back again and again to experience everything. On soul level, there's no judgment. It's just like you're in a Shakespeare play and you don't always want to be in Hamlet, or you don't always want to be in a comedy. Sometimes you want a tragedy, etc. So you are the actor, director, producer, screen, and of the film of your life. All these things are really well explained and very simply with exercises and energetics in the 3 books. So the thing is that that's how we create reality. One is what the soul's agenda is, which is totally different to the personality's agenda. When we bring the two together, the heart and soul, I am presence energy, and let the personality then become a nice little, well, what do you want to call it? Not servant, but, not the boss anymore.
Right.
Then that chaotic state, the chaotic state of our lives begins to shift, you see. And so, like yesterday, I met a friend from many, many years ago, and he was a very good-looking guy. I went out with this Bollywood film star and had the life, and now he said he was being chased by smugglers, and God knows what was happening to him. So anyway, he kept coming back to some negative paranoid scenarios, And I was like, you've transcended so much, and you're still alive, and you've come out of hospital, and you're not on medication, or you are a little bit. I said, if you keep focusing on the paranoia, that's what you're going to keep getting. So, you are a spiritual being. You have done meditation. You have gone and met gurus. You have done stuff. You've taken steps. So when you focus on that, I'm just seeing the light. And I said, outside the light, I'm seeing like a cardboard cutout, like a mask in Venice during a masquerade, except this mask is not just the face, it's covering the whole of your body. And that's the reality that you're focusing on, is this cardboard cutout part of, this happened to me, that happened to me, they're going to do that to me. If we stick in that, we become that facade, but that's not who we are. We're this amazing beingness where we can completely shift everything through attention plus intention, through choosing our thoughts and emotions, through feeling our feelings, our pain, our sadness, and we all have it. We're all wounded healers, each and every one of us. Even great saints and great beings like Jesus that walked the earth, they went through stuff. Sometimes Jesus said, God, why have you forsaken me? I feel that sometimes. I feel I'll go nuts just looking at 3D reality, But then you bring yourself back to the center and you realize that this is just a movie. And it's a holographic reality, and it can be shifted. Well, but if we manipulate it, then as we sow, so shall we reap, cause and effect. But if we co-create it, then it's different.
And being negative all the time just keeps breeding the negativity. I mean, it continues to bring itself upon us.
That's it. So one of the things people are really stuck in. I mean, what is your biggest challenge right now in your life, Pat?
I had to kind of restart my life all over. The financial collapse, really hit me and my family hard, and of course I was depressed about it, and I yelled and screamed about it, and I blamed everybody about it, and then I just decided that it was time to move on, and now I subscribe to less is more, and you don't necessarily need a big house. A small house works good as long as you've got a good family. And the love is there with the family. That's more important than any big home or fancy car.
Beautiful, beautiful. So right now in your life, what is the challenge?
Just to keep, really, is just to...
I'm asking for your inner challenge, because on the outside you could have the simplicity, and that's really powerful what you're sharing, and that's what Babaji really teaches, is the simplicity piece, It really shifts us, and that doesn't mean we can't enjoy the good things, but don't just keep accumulating and collecting. When you're done with it, go and give it to a charity shop, recycle it, share it, help the other, which is what you're doing with your work. So right now, what is it for you from the inner world, because the outside could be all perfect, and people like Whitney Houston, died of a broken heart. She was beautiful, and Kevin Costner kept telling her, and he said she kept saying, Am I?
Right.
Well, the love can't come from the outside, it has to come from within. So at this point now, today, what is that inner challenge for you?
I don't know if I honestly don't know if I have one that I can...
That's wonderful.
That I can define. I mean, there's things that I need to work on, without a doubt. But I think for me, just being accepting of things was always a challenge for me, and now being accepting to multiple degrees and depth is something that I'm slowly working on, and I'm just being open-minded about things. And like one thing that I've, with all the great guests that we've had on over the years, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, is when we're younger in life, we're kind of afraid of death. We're always afraid that, the end comes.
It's the biggest fear in everybody.
It's darkness. But for me, and I think for a lot of people, I think that, not that I want to get to the end of the road, I'm not trying to push it by any means, but it's just going to be kind of the next step, if you want to call it the next adventure. What I've learned through all these different people that I've had on the program, that we've had on the program over the years, talking to you tonight, listening to you, it's more than just this physical body here on earth, this human shell. It's about the spirit and preparing the spirit for the next step and preparing to accept it.
Definitely. So this grounding is so important right now, are we grounded, and, how do we do that? By invoking earth. A lot of this is mentioned in the first book, The Divine Mother Speaks, Healing of the Human Heart. Just intending grounding, connecting to a tree, walking bare feet, eating grounded vegetables, having massage once in a while, simplifying, connecting to the breath, becoming conscious. And so a lot of our reality gets created through subconscious and unconscious as well. And that's the tricky part, It's okay, you can start saying positive affirmations, which, many of us do on the spiritual path and so on. And that's powerful. And then we wrap it with a feeling and some visualization, again, powerful. And then we let go of that desire, again, powerful for manifestation. But what do we do with the subconscious and unconscious stuff?
Oh, those are things
That's creating our reality as well.
Those are things I still need to discover that I don't feel that I have.
So, like when we study in Reiki, this mastery called Sekhem, the energy, with the Reiki energy, it comes from the cosmos into the crown, into the heart, and out of the hands for healing self and others. But with the Sekhem energy, it comes from Sirius down through the heart, down through the root, to the center of the earth, back up through the heart and through the hands, or through the beingness, or through the intention, to in the now moment, to subconscious, conscious, and unconscious states of being. So again, if we put the attention and intention gently, none of this is about huge effort and all that 3D linear, unless we're working super hard, it's not going to happen. It's actually about ease, joy, allowance, and emptying to receive, which is something you've powerfully shared. You've gone through in your life, I've gone through in my life. From letting go of the 15 homes, so much happened. Until I let go recently of, a certain format of my going to America, new things couldn't happen. And when I let go of, every time I've let go of the old story to create the new story as it comes up and it feels right, then the room gets emptied and the new baby can pop. And we're not talking about co-creating books, film, right. Travel, whatever. So many people say to me, we love your energy because you have this freedom that we don't come across often, And it's like, okay, that's great, but that wasn't luck, That's about emptying and emptying to receive. And then the paradox in that is then the whole world is yours. The whole universe is yours. And so one of the greatest challenges for many of our listeners right now is money. And limitation. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough space. I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough money.
Right.
And so we need to go within, and we need to look at the patterns, that when we were young, our mother said, you're not good enough, or you don't deserve, and look at our personal lives. These are the thought forms that run our reality all the time. And just say, okay, well, I can delete that. I can pull that out and put a new floppy disk in. What am I choosing? I do deserve. Deserving is a huge part of, Like my friend yesterday said, can you go to London and buy me a lottery ticket? Because the astrologers told me I'm going to make 4 million yet again. And I said, well, I could do that, but what are you going to do with the money? Create more misery again? You know, money is just energy. That's what I learned when I became jet set, Miss, you know, super rich, whatever I was. And at a very young age, I realized this is not where it's at. And yes, if it comes again, I will use it for conscious co-creation for everybody everywhere. And then it's got a different energy. So many of the rich people in America and all, many of them are giving up, you know, if they've got billions, they just keep 1 million and the rest they're giving in charity or for education or for healthcare or whatever.
Right.
And finding that they're coming to a lot more peace through that, you know. But sometimes we do need to go through experiencing what that is that we want. You know, I want to be a millionaire, and, you know. And then there's nothing wrong with that.
Right, right.
But if we just say, I'll never be happy until I'm a millionaire, and then once you're a millionaire, I'll never be happy till I'm a billionaire, and then once you're a billionaire, well, I wish I had my youth again. Who cares about the money? It's too late then, you know.
Right. The money can't
You've
buy
got to be
the
born
youth
again. Born again.
No, that's very true. Yeah, the money can't buy that. The money can't buy you happiness, maybe for a little bit, but not long term.
If we use the money for the greater good, if we share what we have, whether it's money or time or energy, you know, people say, oh, I don't have money, you know. And I find all over the world, I'm giving to the poor, I'm giving to the rich, I'm giving to the guys in America, the tramps, you know, they think we just have those beggars in India. Oh, no, you know, you got them in the States, and sometimes if you give them $1, they like throw it back in your face. No, they want $10, you know.
Oh, I know.
And then people say, oh, you mustn't pay them because they're going to go and have drinks and stuff. Well, you know, if we can't share with each other, it is important. And just using our intuition. So how do we come to this intuition? It's through, again, emptying to receive. We have to make spaces to still ourselves. And this fashion with, if I'm not busy, I'm not important, that's not going to help anybody. It's just going to lead us to total exhaustion and early death. So, you know, that's, again, a choice. That's just a choice thing. Everything's choice now. Big time. And if we just make those little baby steps, the energy is there for us, around us, the help is there, the archangels are there, the benevolent extraterrestrials are there, our higher selves and our heart energy and the wisdom of our soul from eons is now ready. So, you know.
We just have to be willing to accept it and take it and move forward with it.
Yeah. So if, suppose I'm creating a huge corporation now, you know, for a win-win scenario for humanity, of course it's going to succeed. You know, and like, for example, in my books, you know, maybe in a linear fashion, the money won't come from that, and maybe it won't ever come at all. But the journey and the joy of the sharing and the giving and being in a position where somehow spirit still gets me moving across the globe and flipping about and staying in hotels for the last 7 years, and all these things which when I started this particular journey, I would have gone, oh my God, you know, I can't do that. I can't sell all my homes just to serve humanity. And even now, it's like, what am I going to do when the money finishes, which is quite soon. But the thing is that by the time the money finishes, money may not exist on the planet the way we know it.
That's true. That's
you know, fiat currency is about to collapse, particularly in the States. It's going to happen. The debt bubble has to burst.
Exactly.
It's all based on debt. It's all based on money being printed out of nothing and huge. And I feel so sad, particularly in the States, where, you know, all the youngsters, before they've even taken a step through the door,
Rashmi,
they've got all this educational debt.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the final segment of Fringe Radio. Our guest tonight, Rashmi, thank you so much for being here and inspiring me and our audience.
Most welcome. Such a pleasure to connect to your wonderful energy.
So we were talking right before the commercial break about the kids, especially in the United States, going to school, and you were commenting about how they're going to school, they get out of school, and now they've got all this debt to deal with.
And then I met a couple that, you know, were quite sick with cancer and things, so they had double debt. And this is before they've even stepped into the world as little adults, you know. So it's just, it's not a correct system. It has to shift. And sometimes, these things need to be drastic shifts. So, and then there's all the, very highly educated kids that don't get jobs.
Right.
After spending all that money and time, of course, and studying. So, I think, each and every one of us has to now really stop saying, well, this is a system and what can I do, and I'm in it. And take back self-empowerment and make conscious moment-to-moment intuitive choices, which involves unplugging. Unless we unplug out of the matrix a little bit from time to time and connect with nature, which is such a major healer, it's also pleasurable to connect to the elements, to connect to conscious breathing, conscious bathing, conscious eating, conscious thinking, conscious feeling. It's all about being aware of awareness. And it may sound highfalutin and difficult, but it isn't. And it's actually very blissful. It's very peaceful. It can be very pleasurable. And it's such a relief when we go through a session of healing or just create a space to say, okay, I'm going to take a few days off, or I'm going to unplug. And as you said, Pat, in so many economies, and in India as well now, thanks to the media and everything, everybody wants all those things that the West has wanted in the past, which is the car and the Mercedes and this to that. What's the point of all of that, It's okay to have one car and enjoy a good home for a few years maybe, or whatever, but, it's all so simple, really. The things that we think we need to make ourselves happy, we need to question those things and then act accordingly. Each and every one of us is choice.
Right. You, looking at your website, you also do filmmaking too. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I mentioned that I'm making this film called I, God with Neil Donald Walsh, who's the author of Conversations with God, and Robert Friedman, who is my publisher and friend. He's been publishing channel books for the last 30 years. He's a pioneer in America. And Babaji, who's a transcendental being but also has walked the earth in many different bodies, archetypal energy of Shiva. And Maha means great. Avatar means direct emanation of source into a body. So Babaji was not born of a man or a woman. Hard to get one's head around it. And my friend Leonard Orr is an American who was one of the fathers of the New Age, and he's written many wonderful books and created a system of healing called rebirthing, which is modern Kriya Yoga, and taken it across the globe, has taken Babaji's message across the globe, particularly in the West. So I met him, and Babaji asked me to work on him first, and work with him, which I did. And then the next person that Babaji presented me with was Bob Friedman to work with and for, and he asked me to become a co-producer of this film, which again, Babaji said, you will go to America and you will make spiritual film with the spiritual leaders of America. Now, I didn't know how and what and why, yeah? But when these things are supposed to happen, they do. And they did. And the film has taken a bit of time, but it's very exciting because, we've got people like Greg Breton and Deepak Chopra and myself and Neil and Omid Goswami, who's a quantum physicist, and various people talking about God, heaven, hell, the nature of reality, and so it should be a very interesting documentary on God and what does God mean. What is it for each of us?
Right. When is it going to be available? When is it going to be out?
Well, that's $1 million question. I think this year now, because I think we finally got rolling with it. So it should be out this year, and it will be. Did you see The Secret and Further Down the Rabbit Hole?
No, I have not.
So these are films that are usually, it should be in cinemas and all, but it will definitely be a DVD that will be available through Amazon and so on. A bit like book distribution.
Very Very interesting. Very interesting. Do you go around? Do you now? You for our listeners that want to listen to you more and find out more about you. When do you do your radio program?
It's usually once a month, and it's called 2013 and Beyond. There's a page on Facebook called 2013 and Beyond, and my co-host is Jeremy McDonald from Florida, and he's also the host of his own radio show called Soul Talk Radio. So the previous shows are all in the Soul Talk archives, the Blog Talk archives, and on 2013 and Beyond on Facebook. And then there's some YouTube shows as well on that. And if you just Google Rashmi Khilnani radio shows, then a large number of radio shows will come up, which is my own, but also the ones I'm doing nonstop across the globe, to bring in this energy of the wisdom teachings made simple for everybody to wake up to their heart energy, their higher, their unlimited being energy, and well-being and flow for this wonderful time when we don't just have to be in the trauma and the victimhood, you know.
Very, very true. Do you give? Do you do a lot of talks around the globe? Do you travel a lot and talk to a lot of people?
Yeah, well, I'm doing the most now through the radio shows because it reaches the largest number of people, and because my work is not really about the money, you know.
Right.
So and through the books, you know, which again reach a large number of people. But yes, I do, and I live in 3 continents. I live in America, in England, Europe, and part-time also in India sometimes. So, you know, wherever I'm guided to go, I go. And I don't have a home, and I'm, you know, just definitely a kind of different way of being. And I feel that many will not live exactly the way I live, because each will have their own individual flavor, but
right.
Many of us are now unplugging from the so-called systems.
Very interesting.
And yet we can still interface with them, but in a more conscious way and in more of a way of choice. You know, obviously we're still all in 3D reality as well. We are shifting. Each and every one of us has probably got one foot in each in varying degrees, based on how quickly we're waking up to our 12 DNA helix, which is happening for all of us. And I'm sure you're sort of familiar with the Pleiadian and Syrian teachings, are you not?
Yes, I'm not. I mean, I've heard of them. I'm not an expert by any means. I look at so many of these different subjects and topics, but I have come across it, yes.
So it's all about this expansion time now, because our DNA, you know, has been tampered with in the past, and we allowed that. So there's no point being super angry with them. You know, the David Icke information. It's just like, you know, accept it, know it, understand it, and then transcend it. Because it's time now to take back our power.
Right. And accept it. Accept some of these things.
We have to accept them because we co-created them. You know, in any situation, we co-create the situation, you know?
Right.
It just does happen on that. It's just something to begin to look at and experiment for ourselves. And to just listen to teachers or gurus or external authority, that's not going to work anymore. All the great information that all of us share on these shows and in our books and whatever, don't just take that as a gospel truth or get upset about it as untruth. You know, experiment and feel and choose, you know. And that will connect each and every one of us to our inner wisdom and the inner guru within, which is, guru is, you know, being made a bad word, but it just means guru means the darkness and ru means the light. So coming.
Rashmi, we've got to wrap up for tonight. The 2 hours went too quick. I want to thank you so much for I think we lost Rashmi. We were connected here with her in a second. Let's see if she will reconnect. Hold on a second. Rashmi, is that you?
Hi, sorry I got disconnected.
No, that's okay. I was going to say we have to wrap up. The 2 hours went so fast tonight, and I want to thank you for sharing all your work with us. I know we just touched the surface, but our listeners can go out and look at your website. It's Rashmi Khilnani. That's Rashmi Mikhilnani, or go to our Facebook or our website, and there's links there. And again, people can get your books through Amazon, through links on your
Barnes
website.
and Noble.
Barnes
Yeah,
and Noble. And I just want to wish you the best. And again, thank you for being here, and keep doing what you're doing. You're living the dream. You're living your dream. You're living the open-mindedness. It's I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you so much, Pat, and I'm sure we'll meet one day. Many blessings to everyone.
We will. We'd love to get you back on again, and thank you so much for taking the time today to be with us.